It's time. Outstanding. Hello everyone, this is just a little quickie video today, just to show the progress on my main account. Well, you can see how far I am currently. So, I'm going to take you through a little bit of a history of what my setup has been for like the last 2 years and where it's gonna be. So this is the setup right here that I've been using for the longest time. The last time I made a setup video for YouTube on my main account, I'm pretty sure it was this one. And this one is not known for being good. Actually, yeah, it's shit. And despite that, I used this setup from life about 200,000 probably, to 350,000. I managed to get 150,000 lives using this setup. So I'll take you through the setup for a couple times real quick and just show you how outstanding it's been. So I don't remember what the actual inspired layout was for this setup, but I do remember that when I placed the items in, I wasn't exactly high IQ, so I just kind of haphazardly threw shit in and hoped it would work. And as you can see, I mean, it almost kind of works. Keep in mind, I do use these pulsars to make it actually a slightly more respectable, around 18 skips on a good day. Very, very rarely I get a centillion and skip 20 lives with this. But it's a lot more uncommon than getting like 16. So this setup, the absolute fastest it can be is 22 seconds, which it almost was. And it skips on average 17 lives, I would say. And if I don't click the pulsar, it'd be like 16. So on average, that was a pretty good one. I got 19 skips. That's pretty incredible for this setup. The biggest flaw with the setup, other than the fact that, just look at it, the biggest flaw with the setup is it's inconsistent. As you can tell, this time it took me 51 seconds to get the money that I needed instead of mid-20s. So that's the biggest flaw, and isn't that just great? You would want this setup, wouldn't you? The only thing I can give this setup is that it is somewhat functional. That's the only good thing I can say about it. I know it's not a good setup. However, we're going to move on because this isn't my current setup. My current setup is slightly better than this. So my new setup that I made a few weeks ago is still an old layout, but it's an improved version of that layout. So it's the same layout, it's just better. And it's still kind of inconsistent, actually. What isn't inconsistent, though, is the amount of lives that I skip. That is 20 pretty much every single time. Centillions on average. Now, this isn't quite the updated setup, because I found out just a few days ago, before I made this recording, this does not work. I thought it worked, but these ores actually aren't hitting this upgrader. So what I'm going to do on recording is simply replace it with a true overlord device, because I don't have that in this setup, and just take my losses from there and make a new setup in the future, which I do plan to do. The only reason I'm really making this video is to show the setup I have before I make something completely different, or at least attempt to, because honestly, it's not that simple nowadays to make a good setup on Miner's Haven. This setup is like, if the setup that I just showed you was a D-, this one's like a D+. Maybe a C-, because it is pretty good compared to the other one. Let me go ahead and fix this issue real quick. All I'm gonna do is put a true overlord device there. Yeah, the cornucopia is, its hitbox is very deceiving. The orange goo is what you gotta hit. That's one of the upgraders that are extremely precise. And the problem is, usually when your ore does hit that upgrader, it's also hitting the upgrader itself. So, your ores collide with it. So, now, this is actually my current updated setup. So this setup is a guaranteed 20 lives skipped every single time, and the fastest this setup can be is 20 seconds. But there is still one major flaw with this setup, which is the exact same one from the other setup. It's still inconsistent. Not as inconsistent, actually, because I tried to be a lot more careful with the ore placement this time. Or, ore placement. Upgrader placement. But alas, it's still... Now, this could just be my evaluators. But I don't think so. There's a couple things I don't have in this setup yet. Such as the brand new Fright Folly. Which I don't really think I have to add it. And I will show that in a second. And I also don't have the Mad Monstrous Melter in this setup. Mostly because I also don't need it, but because when I did add it, it made my ores even more inconsistent. And wow, I am not showing a good example of my setup right now. What the hell just happened to my setup? It just completely stopped working. So that flaw I was talking about, yes, it's a thing. Yeah, I'm just going to take the L and skip to 6 lives real quick and just refresh the setup. That's how it's supposed to run. Generally speaking, though, considering it is inconsistent, it's usually from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. And if I get unlucky, the setup just stops working. But that's pretty rare. Let's implore some new strategies here, because my setup finally stopped working after working a few times. Let's do the old classic, have the ore limit very, very small. So, lowering the ore limit made my setup even more inconsistent, which I find very strange, because I could have swore that might have contributed to my ore problem. No, my ores are just, they're hitting something. And that's strange, too, because if I were to just get rid of this teleporter real quick and replace it with a furnace, they have no problem getting through one loop of it. Generally. So they die through the setup somehow. I'm gonna try raising that another suffix. And same with this one. And then raising that another one as well.
Hey, I think I found your problem. I think you're gonna have to raise that a little more than just one.
It actually did seem to help. Just raising them by one suffix. I mean, the setup is... The money part of the setup is not the problem, so... Come on. 21 seconds. Can I get a 20 second? I should be able to get a 20 second. Come on, come on, come on, come on. That's not a 20 second. God damn it. The setup just broke, didn't it? It just broke, didn't it? Oh, come on. Please. Please. What? What happened? It was just working. Alright, there we go. Yep. That's a little shy of 20 seconds here. Let's try that again. Whatever. It doesn't really matter in the long run. It's not like 20 seconds it's not like 20 seconds is a fast setup either. It's not bad though, I would say. I certainly could have made a worse setup. Okay, so this is block A from like 2 weeks later, right when I'm about to finish making this video. So, it was the evaluator. That was part of my problem. This one, going straight to the furnace, was set too low. Which is why ores that were worth very little were managing to hit the furnace. Maybe I should have known this already, but for some reason I missed that one and not the other evaluators, so I don't even know what to say about myself. I don't know why the ping is 400, because it's taken me several seconds for the items to disappear off my base for me to reborn. But as you can tell, there is no major gap in time between reborns now. So I actually did just solve my consistency problem. The speed isn't any better, but the consistency of that speed, at least, is much better. So it's a crazy thought. Only having ores that are worth enough money to go into your furnace in the first place. Making that change actually made my setup more consistent. It's crazy. Did you see how long that took, by the way? Alright, so that's it for this clip. Why is my foot missing? Well, there you go. There's my 20 live skip, 21 second setup. At least in the ideal world. Now, before I head out, I just want to clarify. I'm gonna try as hard as I can to make an original setup. And if I can't succeed successfully in doing that, I will be sure to mention that the next time I make a miner saving video. So let's talk about the only thing in this update that's worth mentioning. The Fright Folly. Now this is a super edgy upgrader. You take your basic iron mine, you put it in the upgrader, and you put it on a basic furnace to see how amazing it is. $13. Fantastic. So let's try this again. Notice that multiplier. Did you notice that multiplier? Did you see how funny and cool that multiplier is? And what the hell is this thing supposed to be? This looks like a rabbit moth fusion abortion. Does kind of look cool though. So yeah, it's the main good thing about this is that it's a portable, obviously. That's the only good thing about it. It being a portable upgrader makes it amazing. If I just want to take my setup real quick and just throw it in right here, bam, I'm good. That's like a free life skip right there. So that's my current setup. It's mid at best and inconsistent. But you know what? I worked on it hard, and that's all that matters. So I'll see you in the newest video of Miner Heaven very soon. Until next time. Alright, you can go now. The video's over. So, I'm gonna tell you one last time to leave. And if you don't...